Well, we avoided this like the plague. The current plague, that is.
Which,
to be fair, we'd always been avoiding the plague by not leaving our home ever.
that's a good point.
But look, man, we avoided watching Halloween 2018. 2018, right? The new timeline provided post Halloween 1, because there's been a million of those by now. For a variety of reasons. One, we've never been big fans of post Part 1 Michael Myers anything. Mainly because they always fuck it up or it just sucks. Two, we were Michael Myers the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, who wants more of this? After so many disappointments and some okay but not enough to warrant more installments, we just didn't want to put our chips into this bag.
Yeah.
But it was an inevitability. We had to fucking watch this at one point to make up our minds, because that's how we roll. We don't take what everybody else says. We just go, we got to see it ourselves, and what's up. So what is up?
Warn up.
All the people say this movie's pretty cool, but you're still fucking gay. Word up. Look, man, I'm just gonna be straight up. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me, but this movie fucking kicked ass. This is a fucking Michael Myers movie that actually got me excited to see him again. This is a Michael Myers movie that I feel actually understood Michael Myers, and at the same time did much to sate other people that are used to other things, which honestly, that's what they like the most, but never betrayed what Michael Myers is. I loved the fuck out of this movie. Now I'm kind of scared to see the other ones that are going to follow it, because this thing not only lived up to the expectation that a horror fan that loves Part 1 like I do could build up over the decades, but it transcended that. It's a fucking great movie. I don't know where you're at. Tell me, what do you think? We just finished this. What's up?
It's pretty good for a movie written by Kenny Powers.
That was like a prerequisite, by the way. I had to watch it mainly because Kenny Powers wrote or was a writer on it.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
But what's up, man? Tell me specifically what's the haps?
Yeah, I'm pretty into it. I feel like out of principle, I'm still like hating on Michael Myers, just because of the lineage of Feast. That being said, this movie was pretty rad, so I can't even hate.
This is a movie, like I said, that gets the character. Michael here is treated as what he is in the first one, an unstoppable inevitability. And that's kind of the crux, the hinge point for all the characters functioning in this movie. Whether they believe that, whether they choose not to believe that, or whether they believe that way too much, the fact remains that Michael Myers here at its core is an unstoppable instrument of whatever fate he is driven by. And that's exactly why he's scary in Part 1. And even though the other sequels in the other timelines played on the fact that he was this unstoppable killer, they never got that core essential, that blankness, that mystery, that what, and they never got it like Part 1 did, because of course Part 1 is the one that set the rules. They never got that inevitable nature, destructive and hateful, or not even hateful because there's almost nothing there. That inevitable nature of destruction was what drove the character, and this movie got that. This movie got that, and it was the most satisfying thing to see immediately. On top of that, this movie added to that thematic texture by setting down a groundwork that made the characters work, whether they were returning characters like Laurie Strode, played by wonderfully, of course, by Jamie Lee Curtis, #HotHag,
JLC,
or her in-story daughter, and her progeny, or we had a returning character of the deputy from Part 1. We had a quote-unquote new Loomis. All these characters worked off of this new theme of kind of like a cause and effect, and how that dynamic can create kind of like a mirror version of somebody, So in essence, Laurie here is the result of 40 years of paranoia and 40 years of trauma waiting for this moment. She's become the anti-Michael Myers in a lot of ways. You know? And ironically, because of her becoming this kind of anti-Michael Myers, she's kind of like almost deranged in her own special way. She's as much Myers, though she is opposite, she's as much Myers in that way, kind of a derangement. And because of that, also, her daughter is fed by this cause and effect thematic, because her daughter, like, steadfastly opposes the idea of always being ready, always being alert, always being cautious. You know, we have this new doctor that's taking care of Michael Myers in the wake of Loomis's passing. And he himself, and spoiler, if you haven't seen the movie, although by now everybody has, he himself is the result of this cause and effect thing. Unlike Loomis, he is engrossed by the idea of what drives Michael to the point where it's almost like he adulates this being and he wants to see where. He's fascinated by the why, you know? And the result is that he is an anti-Loomis. You know, there's even a line in the movie where Laurie calls him the new Loomis, kind of flippantly. But as he turns out, he is the anti-Loomis, you know. Literally, in every way, he is the opposite of Loomis. And I think this thematic of cause and effect is what solidly locks this fucking movie together as more than just a Halloween movie. It's a Halloween movie that understands Halloween, and it's a movie that adds to the substance of the thematic dynamic of Halloween, which is just a fucking sign of quality to me. Give me something, man. Good or bad? What's up?
I feel like, I don't know what the hell kind of latex this mask is made of, but that's like some durable ass latex, homie. Like we had a mask for like a year and it shattered into pieces, and this thing lasts 40 years and is like still as stretchy and shit. Damn, homie. That's why he survives. He's got the latex mask of doom. I have one minor complaint about the mask.
All right.
I feel like the hair should have been a little messier. Like, I was never a fan of the kind of comb back look. It's like, damn, homie, messed that up a little.
I don't care. It looked great. You know what I'm saying? That's when it comes to the concern with the mask. I'm used to shitty fucking masks populating the sequels. Exception, the Rob Zombie masks look really good. But, you know what I'm saying? There's a mask that looked good. I was like, that's you know, that's a big plus, because it would have been kind of weird if this movie was this good and then, oh man, look at that mask though.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Would be like super.
That's the rest of the review. Just everything you say to me, I'm just gonna go. I don't care.
Oh, I don't care about his fucking hair,
dude.
I don't care about his fucking hair, man. It looked good. The mask, it looked good.
Hair sucked. Hashtag. And I'm doubling down now. That hair sucked. This hair ruined the movie.
Damn.
0 out of 10 because of the hair.
Is there anything in this movie that didn't quite strike your fancy? Go ahead.
Not really. Honestly, I don't have many complaints. I could have done with like maybe a little less of the main theme remixes. Just because I like the kind of like the newer themes more. They're really cool. The music. Thankfully that kind of dies down at one point. But early on, there's a lot of like doodle-doodle like remixes. I was kind of half expecting a disco one like in Phantasm. But that's really just because the new music's really good.
I didn't mind that at all.
I don't care.
Myself, I don't care, because that's exactly what happens in the first one. We get a lot of variations of the simple structural theme. And here, however, we have an elaboration on that theme almost constantly. But you're absolutely right. The ones that
they're really
that
good.
are newer editions. Holy shit, that's some great fucking. That's a great score, you know. And of course, Carpenter came back to work on the score with his son, and I forgot the name of the third composer. They did an amazing job, man. This solid fucking score. Wonderful. I loved it. I loved the score. So I did care. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Note 2, I'm just going to give you a note on your reviewing style. whenever someone brings up a point, don't instantly go, I don't care.
I don't care about the fucking hair. Do you want me
Dude,
to?
that hair sucked.
Do you want me to give a shit about the hair?
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm doubling down.
It looked great.
It was such a little problem, but now I'm like steadfast on my freaking perch, dude. That hair was atrocious.
Yeah, see, that's just you're just putting yourself in a corner here.
Nah,
Speaking of putting yourself in a corner,
you built that corner. You are you are my Myers now.
You're the one clawing into the corner.
We created our own enemies.
Look, man, this movie starts off phenomenally. That beginning before that intro before we get into the meat of the movie, before the credits even roll, is such a hook, you know, and it works simply by reestablishing what all the previous sequels had made people forget. Michael as this literal mystery boogeyman, and it's done in the terms of Michael, you know, but just standing there, you know what I'm saying, by not reacting, and it's so quickly reestablished, and it does wonders. But my absolute favorite thing, other than the fact that they got Myers right from the rip all the way to the end, is that they managed to evolve Laurie Strode's character so much in a believable way. Look, it's hard to evolve what essentially is the final girl trope in horror. It's hard to get beyond the final girl constraints. And here with Laurie, having so much time pass in between gave them a lot to work with. And leaning heavily into her psychology was, I think, the strongest thing in this movie, to be honest with you. She is a fascinating character. She is a badass character. She is a character you root for. She's a character that, even though there's other good guy characters in this, anytime anybody opposes her, you're like, fuck that person, including her daughter. But that's good, because her daughter goes through a journey of growth too. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. She is such a rock solid fucking character in this movie that she's, to me anyway, an even bigger driving force than Michael is in the movie. She's really, really fucking strong. I loved what they did with that, and at times she's even a tragic. Well, just generally speaking, she's a tragic character, but at times that comes off impressively. Like, there's a scene where she actually, in the midst of what she sees as a potential disaster of Michael potentially escaping, she still tries to reach out and make time for a family that's estranged from her, and she shows up at a dinner party, but the trauma has affected her so much that she breaks down, and it's like a very realistic turn on how trauma affects people. You know, it's inconvenient to others. It's inconvenient to the person suffering, and all that. It really captures a realistic sense of where this woman is at, and ultimately, it's what, to me, I don't know about you, kept me so hooked, because I wanted to see her get at least some form of relief from this tension that she was suffering for 40 years, you know. Give me something, man.
Yeah, it's nice to see her not die in the first 3 seconds of a movie.
Yeah.
Like, come on, homie. Freaking JLC's our boy, I was gonna say. Our girl, I guess.
It was that rumor that she was a boy. But, yeah, man.
JLC is looking pretty old, I gotta say, like in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I would still hit it, though.
Yeah, hot hag. I mean, come on.
Plus that True Lies thing.
Yeah. Legendary scene.
Yeah, I feel like that just made her forever, even though she was already made. Sexually, that made her forever. And then the wieners of every person in the 90s.
Give me something, man. Anything that's not wiener oriented.
Or hair.
Or hair oriented. For the love of God, not hair oriented.
I feel like I gotta bring in the dumb points because you're making all the good ones.
Okay.
So that's why I'm just putting in the shitty points. So I'm gonna bring up a shittier point.
All right.
You're gonna hate me.
All right, I already am.
You know that friend, the chick's friend and the guy's friend, the fat guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Straight up looking like Mask from that movie. I was like, damn, homie, this guy's hideous. visually obnoxious. Thankfully, he was fine as a character, and he got killed.
And he got
like,
murked. Which brings us to the kills. Look, this is a much more visceral movie than the first Halloween movie.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it's a necessary step up. You know, it differentiates itself in that way from the first one. It shows us a much more brutal Michael. It shows us the brutality of what he does. And again, it's a necessary step up. I think that's something that didn't work in the original Halloween 2. But here, holy shit, does it work.
I think for the first time, I'll say, I'm trying to remember if there's any other ones that'll go against it, but I think for the first time, a Halloween movie has good kills.
Yeah.
Like, that was
impressive, memorable kills. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, up to this point, there were bad, dude. There's occasional, like, oh, okay, that was fine, but for the most part, for a slasher series, that's basically what it just became after a while, they were all sucky.
Yeah.
And you finally got some pretty impressive, cool kills.
Yeah.
And the like, great part effects are really good.
The great part is that they're not exploitative. They're just literally, like, fucking shocking at times. Like, it works. They show a lot, and yet not so much that it's like, what is this? It's just like violence. It's sudden and shocking, you know, and it never steals away from the seriousness of the subject matter. Excellent. Here's a thing that may or may not have, tickled your pickle. I don't know. There's a particular segment of the story, of the movie where Michael is already on the loose. He's back in Haddonfield, and he kind of goes on a little spree for a while. This particular section has a lot of odes and callbacks to the series. Visual, structurally.
Yeah, it's like a one.
Camera movements, even settings and all that stuff. I think those odes and those callbacks and just in general those scenes summarized the entire era of sequels and did it all better, in the sense that the sequels were basically just reduced to let's see some kills and then half-ass a story. Well, this just sated that particular portion of the audience's desire to see kills.
That was effectively a remake of the series, in other words, and that
one section. And they were great. They were suspenseful at times. They introduced comedy in a way that was relieving. The little black kid, great. That was a cool little nod to a common trope. With how horror treats African Americans or just in general black people and African American.
Homie was pretty rad.
Homie was out. He was like, "Fuck this
shit, dude." I kind of like that babysitter too. I was like, "Oh man, I want her to die."
Yeah. How do they manage to create substantial characters in such a small amount of time versus what the majority of sequels did in creating characters that you're like, I guess I have to be interested in this person. So that little segment sated the more bloodthirsty fans' desires, and yet moved things along and gave you furthered, I should say, Michael Myers as this fucking monster, this thing that you should fear. Great segment. I liked all those callbacks, even to Halloween 3 at the time. Halloween 2 specifically had a lot of nods in there, but they did it better. You know what I'm saying? They did it better, and that I really, really enjoyed.
I feel like any movie that has references to Part 3 is good in my book. Because they be hating.
There's even the little, and I'm assuming it was intentional, there's even a little nod to the zombie movies with the restroom scene. Really cool, man. It really worked. And speaking of that restroom scene features some kind of pompous, almost condescending internet journalists. And that's how we kind of get the movie, the information that leads up to the movie through the point of view of these two, of this little duo that reintroduces us into the world of Halloween. And I thought that was a really cool way to bring the series to where it's set, the modern times, and kind of show how a lot of people see Michael Myers as something to be excused for its violence. Interesting, fascinating, more than, consideration for the victims. really cool way, kind of like a little slap in the face of people that have, a glorified Michael Myers, and also the doctor, the way he sees Michael Myers.
Oh, dude, there was a moment, when he killed our boy, the little copper.
Mm-hmm.
That was a moment where I was worried. I was like, oh no, is this gonna be the whole like freaking
Friday the 13th Part 5?
No. I thought for a second they were gonna tie in the freaking later on demon shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's
shit.
got like a weird little thing, and now it's gonna be like that. Thankfully not. Thankfully that's not where it went. But for a millisecond, I was like, oh no.
And now there's gonna be sequels to this movie, and maybe they do bring in the Thorn elements. And I'm not
it's
opposed.
not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm not
but
opposed
in this
to that.
movie. It would have been weird.
Yeah, in this one it would have been too much too soon.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. There's definitely a way to work that in. But yes, I equally relieved that didn't. I didn't suspect that was going to happen, but it would have been ass if it did at that particular moment. The doctor thing, I know some people. I talked to friends that like horror, and I know some people had a bone to pick with the whole doctor angle. They thought it ridiculous. I don't. I was kind of dreading that, because that's the out of the conversations that I've had, limited though they were, because I didn't want anything spoiled per se. That's always something I got back. Like, they didn't like the doctor thing. Where you at with that?
I'm fine with it because it is very much like you said, an anti-Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dude played it fine.
Yeah, I don't understand the hatred. I thought that was fucking fascinating. Yeah. I think somebody being fascinated with something morbid like that is more true to life more often than not.
Yeah.
There's an allure to darkness, and playing it as like the anti-Loomis was a stroke of genius. Now, I will say this, and I don't know if you'll agree with this. It's pretty transparent that this doctor is, there's something else going on. Yeah. So I don't know if they were like, oh, it's too obvious. I don't know if that was their motivation for kind of hating the dude, but I thought that was, supposed to be. I mean, not glaringly obvious, but it's pretty. You kind of feel that this guy's gonna.
I think the fact that they have like that recording of Loomis talking about, what has to happen with Michael, basically, makes it very obvious that he's just supposed to be an opposite of that.
Yeah, and by the way, that Loomis recording was not only great to see, a nod to Donald Pleasance, but it was exciting to hear that. It was exciting to hear Loomis talk about the absolute and utter need to fucking destroy this thing. Yeah. Again, another thing that really reestablished Michael as a legitimate and absolute scary threat. Great. This movie does that a lot, and it hits a home run every time with the idea of Michael is a fucking threat. And for someone that's been disappointed by sequel after sequel after sequel with Michael Myers as a character, I was like very happy to see that actually come through the right way. Awesome. What else, man? What do you got?
I think the feeling of the whole town being against them is back. I don't think it's as widespread as in the first one, and sadly the second one, because of that scene where the guy gets run over, and it was hilarious. But it's a lot more effective because it's kind of a smaller, more focused, But it's just cool to have that feeling again of like panic, basically, from all the coppers and shit.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That was cool.
For a movie and a series called Halloween, I find that only the first one for me feels like a Halloween movie. This movie feels like a Halloween movie, and what is this? By that I mean seasonally speaking. Like, it feels like a movie, and it feels like the holiday of Halloween is happening. Not just because there's people walking around in costumes. No, the other movies do that, but I don't know, man. I never got that Halloween-y vibe. This one has that. You feel the season. So that is also, I think, a big plus for me. I really dug that. Now, this movie essentially builds up to a quote-unquote final confrontation between Laurie and Michael, and a lot is hinging on that. And when the movie builds up so fucking well, it could be as easy as that ending did not deliver to ruin everything. What'd you think of the final confrontation?
I think it was probably the strongest part of the movie for me, because it kind of drives home all the shit that it's been setting up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I kind of like the reversal of Myers and what's her face, JLC's place. That was kind of cool. Even the little visual little nods to it was. In a lesser movie, those would have been hella corn, but they were just cool in this.
Yeah, given the thematic of this, cause and effect, the visual reversal, and we're talking about that final scene in Halloween. Here we have Laurie Strode being the reverse, and Michael coming out of the darkness. Here we have Laurie Strode coming out of the darkness. All these little visual cues and stuff like that. Given the strong thematic bond here, they work. They're just exciting to watch.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck yeah, man, that's fucking badass. Get at it, and that's what's great about this movie. Not only do we see something fulfilling for Laurie Strode, but also for her granddaughter and her daughter, which are also characters that we follow throughout the movie. With the daughters aforementioned, she's kind of, very much set herself up as the antithesis of Laurie because of, she's kind of bitter about the way she grew up. So again, that cause and effect. And then we have the daughter who is more of the teenager type, the what in a regular old school slasher movie would be your final girl. We see them all grow, and we see them all come to this one final place, whereas before they were estranged, now by default of this entire scenario, they're forced to come together in a very positive way by the end of the movie as far as watching it goes. And that, of course, is this final face-off with Michael Myers. They're part of it. They're part of the fabric of bringing down Myers. And I thought that was fucking aces, man. And, obviously there's going to be sequels to this. Obviously Myers is a resilient chap, as they say. And hopefully, if he did get a little charred there, they'll actually have, like, burnt skin. Oh, I don't know,
Yeah.
But anyway, this final shot we have of Myers staring out from his trap.
Oh, yeah.
That right there was, how a lot of people make a big about that scene in the first movie where he stabs the guy to the wall and he stares at him and he does the head tilt. A scene that every fucking sequel seemed to want to replicate and always fell flat for me. Like, you didn't capture that. You didn't capture that. I think that scene right there, with him just staring out single-mindedly from this trap, I think that captured that kind of same magic. And I was like, damn, that's good. Like goosebumps moment, you know what I'm saying? And then there's a lot of the moments like that in this movie that gave me like legitimate excitement chills, Anyway, anything you want to add besides any hair-centric critiques?
That hair. I hope since he got all burned up in the next movie, he's going to have slightly messy hair, at which point I will give it a 100.
You know what I would have been 100% okay with? Maybe even 150% okay with? If he didn't, of course it's a tradition to have your slasher look the same every time. And it's always kind of like a chore or like a stretch of the suspension of disbelief to get him in the mechanic's jumper again and get the mask. Here I thought they did it in a way that was kind of cool, tongue-in-cheek, and yet still keeping that serious tone of the movie. I liked it, but I would have been 100% okay with him just getting the mask back, or not even getting the mask back. Him being in that institutional gear. Imagine an all-white Michael Myers. That would have been pretty cool. Or
nude.
100% nude would have been the best with Birkenstocks, though.
Damn.
But it would have been an interesting flip of the script, if you will. But as it is, it's great that what we got. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like that. I'm just saying I would have been really, really excited to see a different visual approach that's still, obviously Myers. But anyway. What the... Oh...
I'm dying.
We're lusting over here. Anyway. Oh, what is that?
I was trying to stop a cough.
God, having sex with it?
I feel like I would better just to cough at this point.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, anything you want to add before we get to score this on a scale of 1 to 10? Give it to me. Yeah.
I feel like it's... Well, I mean... I was going to give it praise for being my second favorite of Halloween, but... that's not much saying much at this point.
Yeah. I was kind of Halloween 3, which is dope.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Myers. Well, yeah, Myers wins. But it's really good. It's cool. It does deliver on the freaking shit that people, or the more dumb people like, while still being very part one-y. So that's cool. Tunes are good. Could have done it with a little less just because those other tunes were so strong. Needed messy hair is the only critique I got. That guy looked like the guy from Mask. just recapping my shit. It's pretty good, dude. I'm kind of worried about the sequels.
Yeah.
Not only because they have shitty names, but because I feel like this one was a really good wrap up of everything. I hope they don't mess it up.
The good part about that is that this ends in a way where it could just be a conclusion if you want it to be. So if the sequels do suck, who cares? This ended in a very satisfying way. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just hope they don't bring Busta back.
Damn, imagine that would suck. Unless he does the karate again.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway.
Or if they bring Ice.
What is this? Get to the end of this review.
Anyway, if they bring Ice Cube back,
he's not even ever in it.
I know. They bring him back. Anyway, I'll give it a 10. It's pretty good. I feel like I just had to throw that out there.
Just want Ice Cube in it?
Yeah.
To the point where you think that he's already been in the series?
Yeah.
Look, man. I'm going to be straight up. This is my favorite Halloween movie now. It's crazy good. And now, of course, I inherently understand that it cannot exist without the original. Duh. But it, really, really fucking satisfied me, man. This is a solid motherfucking sequel. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I love a Halloween movie, a Michael Myers-centric Halloween movie. That's not just part one, which is the only one I've ever loved. That's crazy to me. It's crazy how good this is. It's crazy how much they've added to it and made these characters way more interesting than they originally were, which they were already very interesting. And I ultimately think this is Jamie Lee Curtis's show, and she takes the final girl trope and dashes it on the ground and says, how about this, you fucks? And that's awesome, man. That's awesome because some tropes do need to kind of be busted in the balls, and that's one of the longest running tropes. And don't get me wrong, everybody loves a final girl, but it's always great to see a reinvention of that formula or something that's more satisfying than just going through this traumatic event and then getting, at least a little vengeance at the end. No, this is straight up Laurie show, and I love it. Loved all the fan nods. They were done tastefully. They were never cloying. They were never annoying. They were never in your face, even though they were very visible. They were never so in your face that you're like, all right, I get it. You saw the other movies. No, they were just done just right. Music, amazing. I love it, man. I gave it a 10, just like I would the original. There it is, man. Did not expect that.
Admittedly, I said this was my favorite. My second favorite. Admittedly, my favorite is still part 3. I'm not saying it's the best one. It's actually kind of sucky, technically speaking, but it's my favorite. This is probably my second favorite.
Yeah, we're talking Myers-centric here. Anyway, no,
I'm saying in general, the third.
No, I'm saying this review we're talking Myers-centric. Yeah. But anyway, let us know what you thought about this movie. I know most people received it very well, but I know that there was, as is inevitable with horror, especially, a contingent of people that were like, I don't like it just because X reason, you know. So if that was you, let us know why. We're interested. But anyway, yeah, man. Who knew, huh? Anyway, hit like, share, subscribe, notification buttons, and we're out. We're just waiting for that.
Yeah, totally.